offerings as well. And so we have a whole bunch of opportunities for entities to work with us to advance clean energy, affordability, and reliability. Now, so what that basically translates to is about 25 programs. And with so many good programs, it's often a challenge to navigate them. So we're glad to help. So anytime you have a question as to the most important thing is that you reach out to us and let us know sort of exactly what you're looking to achieve. And then we can help guide you to the right program or set of programs that can help you achieve it. Couple of our, just sort of the top level view, our programs tend to cluster in a couple areas. So one is we have an array of energy efficiency programs, which includes our commercial, industrial, and agricultural, which was now integrated with data centers this year. Previously was a separate program which provides grants for energy efficiency improvements in those facilities. Long-standing program, one of our most popular programs. Does have a change this year, as in past years it was competitive. This year, knowing that often when commercial entities and nonprofits want to move forward with, and manufacturers with retrofits, that time is of the essence. So we made it a first come, first serve program. So if the applicant meets the requirements of the program, then they move to funding. In previous years it was competitive, which added a delay until you sorted through the various criteria and evaluated the applications. And also in our energy efficiency stack, we have our Jane Lawton loan program, which couples very well with our energy efficiency grants. You can't use the same dollar for the same light bulb per se, but you can stack them. You can apply for the grant and use that to pay for part of a project, and then use the loan to cover the balance, so that your energy savings and the cash flow from your energy savings are connected more or less to your loan payment. So we offer a loan this year for entities that are not state entities. We're at a 1% interest rate, which is an extremely compelling cost of capital, especially given private offerings these days with the uptick in overall interest rates due to the Fed's actions and changes. So there's probably a few things I'm missing in our energy efficiency portfolio, but those are some of our big ones. We do have low to moderate income energy efficiency programs where we provide grants to local governments and nonprofits who go out and retrofit homes and weatherize homes, and sometimes commercial buildings if they serve a low to moderate income community. So there's a lot in that program stack. Our clean energy program stack includes rebates for commercial buildings to install solar, includes rebates for residential installations of solar. We also have a number of grants which are designed to help with some of the more complicated solar projects. Solar canopies over parking lots is one where we perennially provide a number of grants to install solar in sort of a dual use over parking. People love it. Shades the cars while it generates energy, and then we also require a certain number of electric vehicle charging stations to be installed. When you're running wire, it's the perfect time to do it. We also expanded that this year to pilot we're going on a little bit of a limb here, but floating solar. So for entities that may have a stormwater retention pond or an agricultural pond, they can also apply for grants to offset part of the cost of that project. You have to have all your permits and work with all your regulatory agencies and show us you've done so, but that's a pilot for us this year. We have community solar, which are some of the larger systems where the solar system is installed, and then the subscriber organization then allows residents, typically sometimes commercial as well, to basically subscribe and take a portion of that energy, and then work sort of just like net metering for them, where your credits essentially add up to be like your meter spinning backwards, like if you had solar on your roof. And we see that as being popular for a lot of buildings that want to install larger systems, because there's no limit on the size of a community solar project on a rooftop. So we'll see a lot of warehouses, manufacturers, businesses with large roof real estate take advantage of that to put community solar on their roof. They get to do a community service by providing not only more clean energy, but also encouraging others to be able to subscribe to that clean energy. and they usually get a lease payment or some financial compensation for the use of the space on their roof. So it's a win-win for the community, and it's a win-win for the host organization. We have resiliency hubs, which help secure our communities against disasters by providing areas with cooling and safe havens and distributions of materials for particularly with low and moderate income communities. And with that, we fund the solar and the energy storage battery portion of the work. We also have, gosh,
hey, Eric, I'm just going to jump in here just to give a little time heads up.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I didn't know how long. I said I came in cold, so I didn't know exactly how long.
Yeah.
I'll wrap up with 2 points. Is one, we also have a resiliency program which can help with critical loads and vulnerable industries. Combined heat and power is a big one for us too, using natural gas very efficiently to be able to harness that heat and that electricity. And then, sort of big picture, we've got other programs to help with capital investment for entities all entering the offshore wind industry, and we create great partnerships. So we recently have given an additional grant, building on our work together, to the Regional Manufacturing Institute of Maryland to continue our partnership to be able to go out and help educate manufacturers on how to take advantage of the program. And I'm going to make everyone's life really easy today. I'm going to post a link to what I call sort of our programs at a glance. It's basically a menu with links to all of our programs. You can just scroll down that and look at the ones that seem most applicable. You'll see opportunities for everything from alternative fuels to energy efficiency to clean energy. You name it, there's something on there for everyone. And we even have an open program for things that don't fit in the other programs. So lots of opportunities. Feel free to reach out to me directly. And sorry for the detailed rundown, and thank you for the opportunity to talk to all of you today.
Thanks, Eric. You had us in the first sentence, which was just call me to check in and find out what you want to do. I mean, that's the thing, is sometimes the folks have some ideas and they're not quite sure what program it's going to fall in. The folks at MEA are super helpful. And like I said, the link he's going to give you is very helpful because it gives actual names, phone numbers, and they also have a very nice employee directory on the MEA website. So it's not hard to find the program person, but sometimes you need bigger overarching conversations. And that's where I think Eric is your good point of contact, and Gary as well.
So anytime if you reach out to me, if you ever, if you're interested in electric vehicles, I'll connect you up to the program manager for electric vehicles. We'll make sure you get to the resource you need to be able to to move forward. And Laura, I thought I had you. We have money. we want to give money away for good projects.
Yeah. It's all a matter of staying up to speed, because that's the other thing, is you may want to add yourself to an email or newsletter list. Can they do that from your website? Because I'm on a notification list. So the minute things open up at MEA, I get a posting. So that'd be a smart thing to add yourself to.
Link, and I'm gonna add that more specific link here in a few minutes.
Okay, great.
So
all right, thanks, Eric, for pinch hitting. I'm happy to give these folks yet another name at MEA, so that's great.
Hey, Laura, it's Mike.
Yes.
Eric had me when he said he had money.
Yeah.
Oh my
Eric,
God.
before you came on, I did talk about our working partnership with you guys. So they've been great. MEA has been totally customer focused, and they do an awful lot of work with what they have to work with. So thanks, Eric.
Okay, so next we're going to move on to Nandini, because I think probably all of your assessment reports refer to Empower Maryland rebates. They've been around for a while. Nandini, we're running short on time. Can you maybe help us buy back a few minutes?
Sure.
Because, fortunately, these folks do know you. They know how to get a hold of you. But you haven't taken the time to really explain the rebate program. So I think this is a good time to do that. But again, I think the most important thing people will derive is your contact info. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen.
Yes. I could even just talk. We don't need to
Okay.
run these slides, and then maybe later on, if you are sending anything to the group, Laura, you could add my slides.
Okay. Are you all seeing my slides, these slides? You're not. That's
Not yet.
Not yet? All right, let me go back. Select tab to preview. All right, go ahead, Nanny, and start talking, and it should pop up.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much, Laura, for the opportunity, and Mike for nice compliments, and Eric and Samir, Alex, everybody in this call had been wonderful to work with in the last 9 months or so, or even a year or so. So I truly, truly, truly appreciate the partnership and collaboration we had going through this particular evaluation. So what I'm going to mention is a very much similar to what Eric mentioned. The state has one type of budget that comes from a program called the Empower Maryland. The utilities also have the same type of funding from the Maryland Public Service Commission budget. Therefore, what we have is a group of programs that the Maryland utilities are running. The programs have been running for last 15 years, almost 15 years. It started back in 2008, like Mike mentioned, in Governor O'Malley's time, and then now we are on 5th funding cycle. If you look at any utility, big utility, whether it's BGE, Pepco, Delmarva, Potomac Edison, depending on where you are, it is going to be slightly different in the name. However, their offerings are going to be very, very much the same. So please don't get a little upset if it is not exactly the same way that I'm going to be presenting. For example, if you look at the next slide, it shows where the utilities are playing. Melissa's program is in Pepco, Western Maryland, and some of the Pepco Potomac Edison and Pepco folks are here. Interlocks is one of them, and the rest of it is BG and so on. So every utility has standardized their incentive offering. Even though the name may say differently, it's the same. So don't worry about the name. Now, moving to the next slide, the way they operate it is simply give it to all the industrial clients. Since we are all talking about manufacturing today, I'm only going to focus on manufacturing programs. You can pretty much take it as they fall under 2 buckets. Very simple. When it comes to utility, you're only looking at 2 buckets. One bucket is CapEx, which is equipment replacement, equipment retrofit. Another is the O&M, which is all about retro commissioning. So all about tweaking your rooftop unit or your chiller, your optimizing boiler, whatever it is a tweaking, which is O&M, retro commissioning. It's a CapEx replacement or retrofit. So with those 2, the good news is that you are going to be getting almost 1/3 of the project cost from the Maryland Utilities program. 1/3. So if you have a X dollar, you can almost in the original project estimate, say, okay, I'm going to get 1/3. And then of course, Eric's project from the Maryland state is going to add me so much. And then I'm also going to get something from the federal government. So put together, all 3 of them will make your project costs come down significantly, that you feel like, oh my God, I made the very good investment for this 2 buckets of projects. So that's all I wanted to leave. This big number, 1/3, you can remember from the Maryland Utility Program. And the other good news I wanted to leave, even though it's not just the utility, is that, boy, are we not happy about this IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. It is a huge boon for our industry. Recently, we got the E179. I'm going to just mention it and then I can follow up with you. E179 project program by the federal government. What it says is, okay, you have the leftover project cost, and all of it can be funneled through $5 per square foot of energy efficiency incentives. It used to be $1.80 before, now it's $5. It is a huge way to reduce your project cost. And it could come from the tax deduction, tax credit. Nevertheless, it is still money on our bottom line. Therefore, I would encourage all of us, as a consultant, I'm going to help companies. And as a partner with Laura's program, Mike's program, Eric's program, I want to bring more opportunities through this type of outreach to say to the companies, do not wait. If you are thinking about putting the energy efficiency in your budget for 2023, please do them. This is the right time, because by the time 2023 December comes, you can finish the project, you can take advantage of the IRA, and then take advantage of the fifth funding cycle that's running for the Empower Maryland, and all other opportunities also from the state and so on. So we are going to be doing very well if we put our effort on some of these recommendations we have made, both Samir and I have made for your program. And you can call us, obviously, you can call us, talk to us about individual, recommendation, and say, who are the contractors, who are the people to do the work. By all means, you can ping us anytime. But I just want to leave that with you. And thank you, Laura, again for that.
Thank you, Dandini. And it sounds like you're going to be sending us something on the IRA. Okay, so that can go out to the email group if you have a summary of that, and then I can get it out to other people on the call if they leave their email. Yeah, if any of you need a shot in the arm to get fired up about doing some energy projects, just call Nandini. She'll get you moving. So thanks, Nandini. And I wanted to, and these slides are all available on the Maryland Green Registry website on the news and events. I'll make sure you get to the right place at the end. So don't worry about missing slides. I just wanted to slip a slide in here. There's Nandini's contact. Not an incentive program, a technical assistance program at no cost. And from the West Virginia University Industrial Assessment Center. And you are thinking, why, as a Maryland company, am I reaching out to the West Virginia University Industrial Assessment Center? Well, they are the center that serves us here in Maryland. They are the DOE designated center. And I have to tell you, they do really terrific work. I've reviewed a lot of their reports. They're really high quality reports. They're also just really nice people. So there are some minimum energy spends to be eligible for these programs, but I'm not going to share that detail with you because they have a number of different programs. They are getting some money from other sources. So it's very possible you'll fit into one of their other programs. They want to do more work in Maryland. They are compelled to do more work in Maryland. And we just need to get more folks to take advantage of it. So don't hesitate to call Gopala at the number provided there and tell them what projects you have and whether you might be applicable for their energy assistance. So moving right along, environmental management systems. Part of this program and the many iterations we've done before, we've really tried to marry these concepts of environmental management systems and that cyclical nature of them with these assessment reports, because we find the two go together really well in terms of some of these ideas actually being implemented. You don't catch it on the first cycle, but maybe the second and third. And time again, we see companies implementing many of these changes as part of these annual cycles. And you've all seen the plan, do, check, act sort of model here. But one of the biggest drivers for making these things move on this cyclical cycle is green teams. So I wanted to jump right in and talk about green teams and how to develop a strong green team and energized green team to motivate your commitment to continual improvement and to addressing opportunities. So of our group, the participant that had the most active and ongoing green team is Black Ankle Vineyards. So Melissa, I'm going to stop sharing here so I can come back on. And Melissa, can you talk to us about the green team at Black Ankle and what you've learned over the years of managing that team?
Of course, yeah. Black Ankle is a staff of, about 60 part-time employees that work in our tasting room. And then we have 5 full-time employees that work in the sales kind of end of things, in addition to our farm side operation. And we started our green team about 6 years ago now. And it's something that we did as a way, like, to use as a tool to motivate and educate a bunch of part-time employees that loved Black Ankle and loved our motto of trying to leave the world better than we found it. And so we formed the team as a way to really help us figure out how to motivate staff, how to educate people about what we thought the bigger picture was. And then also to draw attention to the fact that it's the little details that you monitor and make changes that can actually lead to your overall bigger picture. So we started out initially meeting every 6 weeks and try to come up with what all of our primary annual goals were for sustainability and what aspects of the business we should kind of divide up and monitor and figure out how we could improve and do better. So we did that for quite some time, almost a year. We met for every 6 weeks, and then we moved it quarterly. And it was just a way for us to really figure out how to be accountable. And also assess all of the different elements of the business that we thought we could improve. So looking at packaging, looking at the importance of reservations so that you can figure out flow, so you can figure out what you actually need to create less waste. And, combining deliveries, the dream goal that we have of doing a circular bottle program, all of these things came from the 6 members of our green team, some of them part-time, some of them full-time. And it's a really easy way for a business to just start action. I think sometimes we get bogged down by reading all of these big grand things that we want to do. But if you want to move forward with sustainability and you take a small step like establishing a green team, you actually create accountability. So it's really helped us in our charge to be more sustainable.
That's great. I was really listening in on your trying to find my tab again on how often you meet, because I feel like that's a really critical piece. Sure. is continuity. So 6 weeks was appropriate in the beginning, and then you move to quarterly. And whatever works. There's usually a lot of energy in the beginning, so, and there's also a lot of observations, some things you weren't expecting to hear that you have to sort of take into account. But the important thing is to establish that schedule, get it on people's schedules permanently. If it's quarterly, it's do or die. I mean, if you meet and you don't talk for 15 minutes, fine, but you have to physically meet on a regular basis. So I think what you described is really typical of that, sort of more frequently in the beginning till you hit a rhythm. What is that rhythm? And again, we're back to the EMS is annual goals. And then are you picking projects and you setting interim goals, and are people in charge and they are reporting back? But they are highly effective. We have an EMS and a green team at MDE, and it's just great for engaging employees, new employees, and bringing in a lot of sets of eyeballs and observations.
Definitely. We two quick points. We actually find that with a lot of the people that work in our tasting room, we have a much younger generation, and they are very moved by it and just all hands in. They may only work, 8 hours a month, but they are like, what happened from the Green Team meeting? I mean, it's just a really cool thing. And then as a way to try to keep us organized, which is something that we do in our business side of things too, in addition to the Green Team, we use a free app, which is kind of a project management app. But anything that we notice, any of our staff have access to this app. And if they happen to see something that they think needs to be brought to the Green Team's attention, they can add it to the Green Team Decisions board. It's called Trello. You can also pay for Trello, but we use the free version of Trello. And what's great is that I'm getting almost real time as these young people are working in the tasting room, like, hey, I noticed this thing we could be doing differently. And it's a really efficient way to gather ideas that we can then make actionable.
That's interesting. Can you add that to the chat?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
The name of that. We could really just spend the whole rest of this call talking green teams and best practices. And it's making me think that it might be nice to have sort of a little work group, focus group of those that have green teams or want to start them to compare what has worked and what hasn't. Because as I can say, it really can pay off huge dividends to have a group. And I will say another quick thing is that there are sometimes with big corporations, I remember talking to folks at Northrop Grumman about this, they have an environmental management system team of their professional staff that are meeting corporate directives and so on, and actually have another employee green team. More sort of organic in the way it's developed, and that is actually a framework that can work really well. One of the here on the slide in front of us, be accountable to the needs of the front line as well as leadership priorities. Sometimes if you have a green team and you're just shutting people down all the time and saying, no, this is what we have from the top, it can really cause them to disengage. And I know at MDE, we're pretty clear about what we want to work on, but we always make sure that a couple of those, ideas from the bottom percolate up and get worked on. And some of those we have some real success stories from. So it's definitely a balancing act. So thanks, Melissa. Was there anything else you wanted to add at the point?
No, just thank you guys for doing this. It was very appreciated by our whole team.
Good. Well, I am looking at the time, and I want to make sure we get Alex's time, and so I'm going to do a super condensed version. I don't even know if this will make sense. I'm going to condense it so much, but EMSs, and we have a very sophisticated group of people on this call. You all have been working in this field for a while, and some of you are working for some pretty big companies that have EMSs or something similar in place, or corporate directives and goals. And so I know you've all got bits and pieces of this, but for those that don't, or maybe for any of you that are looking to sort of shore up your weak spots, it's okay to go back to basics and say, do we have the basics here of engaging our employees and putting ourselves on an annual cycle so that we are not missing opportunities, missing impacts because we have new processes or equipment online. And the way you do that, as we've said, is you put yourself on an annual cycle. So the basic, most minimum points of an EMS is what I'm including here. Have a green team. Have a policy statement so your folks know what the values are of your leadership and ownership. Comply, that's your baseline. Don't miss that. Don't get so excited about other stuff that you're missing some compliance problems. Brainstorm ways in which you touch the environment. I'm not talking about compliance. I'm talking about pulling way back. your products, your people, your services, your facilities? What are all the different ways in which you touch the environment? And then you begin a process of prioritizing that based on any number of things, so that you ensure that you're working always on the most important things. And that can really bring focus to a green team too. And then you use basic smart program management, all of which you guys do and are very adept at getting stuff done, right? How do you get stuff done? You make sure that the people who are tasked with it know they're tasked with it. You have interim deadlines, so you know things are on track. You do these things, you measure the results. Maybe it didn't give you that much bang for the buck. Maybe you should be working somewhere else. Maybe it was a runaway success, but you won't know unless you measure. And then you repeat and over, right? So I'm not going to cover this. This is just ISO 14001 is the global standard for EMSs. And so there are some elements I wanted to bring in that are useful. If you're going to do an environmental policy, I think it's smart to do one that complies with ISO 14001. Those that know ISO 14001 speak will get it, you know, you know, and there's some powerful things in here. Committing to pollution prevention is not just words. That means you're going to look through a prevention lens through every environmental impact you have on site. So you're not off getting super excited about, you know, I mean, it is exciting when you find someone who can take maybe a specialized waste stream you have and recycle or reuse. That's great. But don't miss the fact that you might be missing opportunities to reduce waste in the first part. So that applied with a lot of dedication is a very powerful part of an environmental policy. This weird slide is sort of the heart of EMSs. The idea that, again, you're taking this 30,000 foot high view of your facility. Every way in which you touch the environment is called an aspect. They're sort of a precursor to impacts. So if you have stack emissions, that's the aspect which you're touching the environment. And then the impacts can be human health impacts. It can be air deposition to water. It can be, you know, greenhouse gas, you know, potential. And then you're narrowing down to the really significant aspects, and each of those become an objective and target, and that's goal setting. And this is basically what you do through ISO 14001. And then I've included a couple templates. You're going through things which you control or influence. This slide did not translate well, but you can see you start to check yes or no or apply numbers 1 through 5 for impacts. Here's just another thing. Is it affecting flora, fauna, humans, and so on? This is a really typical sheet that you would see for folks that are registering to ISO 14001. It's interesting, ISO 14001 doesn't tell you how to do this. They leave this entirely to businesses. So it makes a very interesting first meeting. There's a lot of opinions and thoughts, and it's a little crazy and painful, but eventually you get to a system that's workable. And you repeat this every year because, although it gets a lot easier, because you may have new processes or equipment and so on. You don't have to set an objective and target for every single impact, but you better know it's a significant impact and that the people in your facility that come in contact with impact know it's significant and are properly trained for it so that it's controlled. And then otherwise, this is a chart here that I've used in a bazillion projects. We did an ISO 14001 program with 53 different manufacturers. We've done this Greening Your Business program with about 40 different businesses. Non-COVID, we did a lot of this in workshops. But just to give you an idea, you know, for aspects, we had companies coming up with anywhere from 10 to 100 aspects. And then for significant impacts, we had them coming up with anything from 0 to 3. It gets a little hard to be taking on too many more projects, more than 3. But then again, you pick up the next year the ones you missed before. So that is it. That's EMSs in whatever I did that in 4 minutes, 5 minutes, ridiculously short period of time. But like I said, a lot of you sort of stuff, I just wanted to sort of make this plug for thinking about how can we move forward without losing stuff along the way. And it's that annual cycle that makes you come back and say, you didn't work on that last year, but what has changed this year? What would make this project move forward? That's the beauty of green teams. That's the beauty of EMSs. Changing subjects, although not entirely. Another way to build accountability, continual improvement, employee engagement is through certification programs. And they can be rating systems. I'm clicking now. No, let me see. No, I'm not going to make the transition to a live web page, but this page will take you to a page where we've invited Maryland companies to list their environmental certification programs. And by doing so, they are volunteering to make themselves available to talk to you or anyone about their experience. So that's an interesting page to check out. If you want to talk to anyone, you shoot me an email and I say, here they are. They'll be expecting your phone call if they hear from you. And I'd love to see that list grow because some of these programs are worth their while and some aren't. And you can talk to the program itself and they're going to be very excited about it, but there's nothing like talking to someone who's actually gone through the program who can tell you whether it was valuable to them, because some of these cost money. So you'll want to know what you're getting into. Anyways, one of these programs is EcoVadis, which is a benchmarking program and reporting program. And we are really lucky to have someone who can give us firsthand experience. CCARE, one of our program participants, has been involved in EcoVadis for a while. And so I'm going to bring on Alex Alicio. Are you on?
Hi, Laura. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. We have a lot of slides that I sent to you, and if anyone wants to read them, we can send them out here after the presentation. Essentially, EcoVadis is just like a third-party platform that takes CSR performance and takes your CSR performance and measures it against the industry that you are in. Does everyone here know what CSR topics are? Okay. So they are corporate social responsibility topics. It's like 17 different topics, from environmental all the way through human resources types of topics, right? Just essentially saying in all of these 17 topics, we are ethical. So EcoVadis takes this into consideration, and they measure you against other companies, right? So for us, CCARE, since we are in beauty product, and we're in the beauty product industry, they kind of take our environmental, if we want to kind of cater it to the ISO standard, they take our environmental and human resources aspects and impacts, and they rate us against those. So there, for us, from 2018 to 2020, we received a silver rating. So I'm sorry, backtrack. EcoVadis rates you silver, gold, and platinum. So 2018 to 2020, we received a silver rating, which
Alex, just let me know when you want me to advance the slide.
you can advance them.
Okay.
Sorry about that. And you can go to the next one. Yep. So here we are from 2018 to 2020. We received a silver rating. 2021, we received platinum, which is the highest score that we could have for our industry. And I want to get into briefly what we did to change that. So Laura, if you could change to the next 2 slides, because I think there's a question. Yes. So here we have our scorecard, right? So they measured us, they gave us a scorecard, and then they tell us our improvement areas. Ultimately, what we did was we took our highest priority improvements and kind of started chipping away at them. So if you look at the next slide, we didn't just do all of it ourselves, right? EcoVadis has its own feedback, and then it has its own platforms for education and different kinds of example policies. So it's similar to similar to EMS systems where we are constantly continuously improving. For us specifically, 2020 into 2021, EcoVadis was just like, hey, you know what? We need you to make an environmental policy and an environmental report. And that was one of our high priority items. And that's what we did to change it. We took essentially all of our key performance indicators for the environment and training and HR. We grouped it together in one report and created a bunch of policies to kind of guide our environmental mission. So that's ultimately, I think the basics of it. So does anyone have any questions on that? I know I kind of rushed through that. I don't know if it was very clear.
Yeah, let's go ahead and open it up to any questions, because this is, there's a lot here to, I guess I should start by saying CCARE has obviously found this to be a useful process. You're making a decision every year to continue forward with it. Is it a combination of your customers requiring it, or is it really the sort of the rigor of the process that your company is finding to be very useful to them?
So I want to say that initially it was customer request. And I think as we continue, each year, more and more people in the organization are learning about it and getting more excited. I think from the top to bottom, our CEO, Cornelius, he is super excited. He's very excited about EcoVadis, but ultimately I think he's more excited about the environmental projects and sustainability work that could be done, which is kind of guided by our EcoVadis objectives a little bit. So I think both.
Yeah, I'd say because we're a smaller company, this has proved as a forcing mechanism for sure, but it also takes a lot of the creativity and brainstorming required to figure out what to do. Melissa mentioned before, right? You have all these big ideas and everything, and there could be a bias towards data analytics and let's figure out all the big stuff we have to do. This forces you to have a bias towards action and really giving you concrete, tangible things that will improve your performance and, of course, your scorecard result, but also your footprint and your overall CSR performance as an organization. Especially for a small company, that doesn't have fleets of environmental engineers running around. It's just Alex. It's very beneficial to give a functional tools and guidance to start the journey.
Another quick question. You said that it's based on your sector. So the action items, and do you see evidence of that? Do you see sections where it's clearly is directed towards your industry sector? Do you know what I mean?
The biggest skews, there's those four categories, right? There's labor, ethics, sustainability, and sustainable procurement. For lower energy intensive industries like retail or other things like that are not consuming a ton of energy through production, it skews much more heavily towards sustainable procurement. So where are you sourcing your ingredients, your packaging, things like that, versus us that we are a contract manufacturer. Our customers tell us where to buy stuff from. It is much lower rating. So they do try to cater it towards the industry and the type of a company that you are.
Right. Well, good. Well, then, EcoVadis is better known in Europe. Am I right? Yeah. So you really are sort of leaders here in Maryland. If there's anyone else who has questions about this program, jump in now. Or Mike and Alex, obviously, it'd be great if you could take questions offline. I'd love to see more of these benchmarking programs become more familiar to Maryland businesses. And that's sort of the point of that certification list that we're maintaining online. So good. Anything else? Thank you guys. Again, could have done a whole hour on EcoVadis. So maybe we need to do that. Maybe we need to do a webinar just on that. But thanks, guys. Moving on to the last slide, recognition. We talked about, Mike talked about the RMI champions. They also do an inside series. I know tomorrow at Tolkoff, they're doing a tour. So it's other opportunities through RMI to get people in your facilities and learning about what you're doing. Our means of providing recognition support is through a program called the Maryland Green Registry, and WD Diamonds, CCare, FlowServe are all members. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anyone else, but we'd love for you to join. It's our way of sort of keeping up with what you're doing. It's free. It's easy to join. There are these online member profiles. They're in your words. You tell your story how you want it. We just finished a web ad campaign. So we've always had really good numbers and traffic to the site, but now we've even got better traffic. So in terms of search engine optimization, it's a great way to get people finding your information. A lot of folks do these, annual sustainability reports, but they're buried on a website and most people don't know where to look for them. And here's just an easy, reader-friendly way for you to share what you're doing. So we also have an annual awards program. I mentioned we got 2 award winners on the call, CCare and Maryland Public Television. So we just try to let you tell us, where do you want to be seen? And we can place information out there. We do these member spotlights, which are shared through social media. But again, we rely on you. What audience do you want to know about what you're doing? So that's my pitch for the Maryland Green Registry. We'd love to have you come on board. And it's also how you hear about stuff. When we had this program, the first place I go to let folks know about technical assistance programs is the Maryland Green Registry, because frankly, it's easy. I can hit a button, hit 600 businesses, and they'll hear about stuff first. And then we go, of course, out wider to the wider public to let them know about stuff. I think that's it, folks. We're now a full 7 minutes past 2 o'clock, and I don't want to chew up any more time, but I just want to end with saying, don't be a stranger. Stay in touch. Maryland Green Registry is a great way to do that. If you can't do that, just keep checking back. Keep asking me questions. Keep asking for vendors and folks that have done similar things and incentive programs and technical assistance. That's what I'm here for. And each other. And again, like I said, we haven't heard from more than a couple of you on this call, and any one of you could have done a bang up presentation on stuff you're doing. You all have so much experience. You've all been in a couple different companies. You've had lots of different views on things. So that's the other thing, is we want you to be able to talk to each other. And again, the Maryland Green Registry is sort of my way of helping that happen too. So any last thoughts, or can we go ahead and close out the call? The slides, the recording, everything is going to be on that news and events page on the Maryland Green Registry website, all in one place. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, Laura. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you all.
Thanks, Laura.
You're welcome.